Welcome to today's lesson on triangle angles. Today I'm going to teach you how to find the missing angle on a triangle. Let's begin. When searching for the missing angle on a triangle, it's all about adding up each of the three angles to equal 180 degrees. If we look at the prefix of the word triangle, we have tri, which means three. So a triangle has three angles. And those are the three angles that we are going to add to equal 180 degrees. Here, let me show you. We know that an angle that has a square in the corner is a right angle and is equal to 90 degrees. Now, if I tell you that this angle right here is equal to 46 degrees, can you tell me what this angle, x, would represent? Well, we know that a triangle's angles equal 180 degrees. So if we add 90 plus 46 plus x, which is our missing number, we know it will equal 180 degrees. So now we just have to find our missing number x. So what we can do, we can try to separate this x by subtracting 90 and 46 from 180. So we're going to subtract 90, which equals 90. And then we're going to subtract 46 from our left-hand side. And that leaves us with 44 degrees. So we know that x is equal to 44 degrees. Any triangle that has a 90-degree angle in it is automatically called a right triangle. So what do you do if you're trying to find the missing angles on a triangle and you have two missing angles? Well, if both angles are labeled with the same variable, in this case they're both labeled with x, that means that they have the same value. So that tells us, in this case we have one angle that's 54 degrees, that we have 54 plus 2x, because we have two x's, equals 180 degrees. So we're going to approach this problem the same way that we approached our last problem. First, we're going to subtract 54 because we're going to try to get x on its own. So when we subtract 54 from both sides, we're going to zero out our 54 on the left, and 180 minus 54 equals 126. But we're not done yet, because we know that 126 degrees is equal to 2x, which means these two angles combined. But we want to know what each angle is worth. And since they both have a value of x, that means they're both equal amounts. So we need to divide 126 by 2. So we're going to divide 2x by 2 so that we can now separate x. And then we're going to divide 126 by 2 to find out how much x is worth. 126 divided by 2 equals 63. So we know that x has a value of 63. But we always want to check our work. So we need to add 54 plus 63 plus 63. And when we add all of these together, we should get a sum of 180 degrees. Now a triangle that has one angle that is different from the other two, and when the other two angles are equal to each other, we call that an isosceles triangle. All right, what do you do when you aren't given any numbers and you have a variable in every corner of your triangle? Well, as long as that variable is the same, you're being told that they all have the same value. So we can say that as 3x because we have three x's, and we know that their values combined is equal to 180 degrees. So now we just need to divide for x. If we divide our left-hand side by 3, then we can separate x, and then we divide our right-hand side by 3, and we get a value of 60. So actually we know that x is equal to 60 degrees. And that means that each angle in this triangle has a value of 60 degrees. When a triangle has all three angles at a value of 60 degrees and all angles are the same angle, we call that an equilateral triangle. Are you ready to practice your angles? Let's see if you can figure out what the value of x is for each of these three triangles. Let's go ahead and begin with our green isosceles triangle. We know that we have 70 degrees that's been given to us, plus 2 x's, and we know that the value is going to be 180 degrees. So first we need to subtract 70 from both sides, and that leaves us with 2x having a value of 110 degrees. So now we need to split and divide x by 2 and divide 110 degrees by 2, and that's going to tell us that x has a value of 55 degrees. So we know for our first problem that x is equal to 55 degrees. All right, are you ready for your next one? 105 degrees plus 43 degrees plus x to equal 180 degrees. So first, let's subtract 105 from both sides. 180 minus 105 leaves us with 75. So now we subtract 43 from both sides. And if we subtract 43 from both sides, that leaves us with 32 degrees, which tells us that x is equal to 32 degrees. All right, are you ready for our last problem? Here we go. We see that each of the angles is represented by x, so that must mean they all have the same value. So we know that 3x is equal to 180 degrees. And if we divide both sides by 3, we will see that x is equal to 60 degrees. Great job! Let's take a moment to review what we've learned in today's lesson. We know that when we're trying to find the three different angles in a triangle, they have to have the amount of 180 degrees in all. We also know that when there's a square in the corner of a triangle, that it means that it's worth 90 degrees. So first we start by adding up all of the angles that we know, 90 degrees plus 50 degrees plus x, which is our mystery number, to equal 180 degrees. Then you subtract out the numbers on the left so that we can find out what x is on its own. So we're going to subtract out 50 from the left and subtract 50 from the right, and that tells us that x has a value of 40 degrees. So we know that x equals 40 degrees.